Greetings, and welcome to Amplified, where we amplify the politics and the policies that are impacting Black and brown communities. I'm Aisha Mills. Well, we knew that it was coming, and tonight it's almost kind of official. The voting rights legislation pushed by Democrats and civil rights leaders to save our democracy is about to be defeated, y'all. This is a live look at the Senate floor, where Democrats are still debating and making their last-ditch efforts to save the voting rights bill. New Jersey Senator Cory Booker made his appeal earlier today. Let's see if we have that.
Let me give you the facts. 48% of Black voters and 55% of Latino voters in Texas found it easy to vote. But that leaves a lot of folks that didn't think it was easy. White voters, actually 65% think it's easy to vote. Everybody's not happy. People who wait in 6-hour lines are not happy. I just want to give a couple more facts. Let's go to my dad's home state. North Carolina was one of the states most affected by poll closures. There were 158 fewer polling places in 40 counties with large Black communities. And African American voter participation dropped 16%. Why? Well, my friend Bennett said this: we still live in a country where the economic disparities between Blacks and whites is what it was in the 1960s.
So to refresh you all on what he was talking about there, the Republican opposition to voting rights, or I should say the Republican aggression in the states around voter suppression, is all about trying to safeguard elections. And essentially what the senator is reminding us is that all of it is lies. The elections are not being stolen. The elections aren't being tampered with. The elections are going just fine. And so he's actually bringing out facts, which, you know, no one ever wants to listen to, but at least he's trying to do it, he and his colleagues. So the Democrats have actually been fighting all day and are still fighting tonight. It's pretty unlikely that they're actually going to get the support needed, not just from the Republicans, but from their own people, Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, to overcome the Republican filibuster. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says that the fight's not over. He can say whatever he wants, but we actually know the truth. At least tonight, the bill is dead. So what is going to happen next? Republicans across the country can continue to make it more difficult for us to cast our ballots. That's the moral of the story here. By consolidating polling places, requiring whatever IDs that they deem worthy, and instituting whatever other changes that they see fit. The failure to actually pass voting rights legislation is going to be a huge defeat to the Biden administration, and a failure to deliver on promises specifically to Black and brown voters who helped to put Biden in office. All this as Biden ends his first year in office, a year that's been marked by strong Republican opposition to the administration's initiatives and Democrats' inability to unite around their own goals. So you guys have probably seen that President Biden has addressed the nation today. When asked if he overpromised, he responded that he performed expectations. That definitely sticks out to those who expected more. BNC White House correspondent Ariana Manise looks back on the first year of Joe Biden's presidency and where he goes now with Black America.
It's been a year of challenges, but it's also been a year of enormous progress.
President Biden addressed the nation Wednesday afternoon as his administration prepared to mark 1 year in the White House. Biden has dealt with major crises for the nation, including a pandemic, the economy, but Black America is still waiting for him to fulfill the promises he made on the campaign trail.
The African American community stood up again for me. You've always had my back, and I'll have yours.
In his Lift Every Voice, the Biden plan for Black America. As a candidate, Biden laid out a detailed policy proposal on how his administration would address racial disparities in America.
And I'm humbled by the trust and confidence you've placed in me. I pledge to be a president who seeks not to divide, but unify.
Okay, here we go.
Within his first year leading America, Biden has seen success with matters in his agenda. Biden fulfilled his promise of appointing the most diverse cabinet and judicial nominees in U.S. history.
Thank you to our great president, Joe Biden.
With the help of Democrats in Congress, his administration signed into law the American Rescue Plan to revive the economy grappling with the pandemic. Biden was also able to bring Republicans and Democrats together to deliver the $1.9 trillion infrastructure bill, which includes provisions to expand broadband, upgrade public transit systems, and get rid of lead pipes.
Because of this law, next year will be the first year in 20 years American infrastructure investment will grow faster.
But Biden has also struggled to unite his own party to deliver his social spending package, which includes millions of dollars in aid for minority communities.
I believe we will pass my Build Back Better plan.
Other elements of Biden's legislative agenda are still stalled. Efforts to pass voting rights and police reform. Both issues have faced Republican roadblocks, and even members of his own party are standing in the way of progress.
I hope we can get this done. The honest-to-God answer is I don't know whether we can get this done.
Now, as he enters year 2, the administration is looking to refocus his strategy to mark off achievements. And Black America is looking for the administration to fulfill major promises Biden put on the table before entering the White House. Ariana Manise in Washington, D.C. for Amplified.
Now, y'all know we spend a lot of time on this show discussing the politics of Capitol Hill that are thwarting the Biden administration's plans. We do a lot of opining. We do a lot of grading about how this administration is actually doing with black folks. Now, no, he is not going to actually get voting rights done, at least tonight. And his Build Back Better plan is in limbo. And we're going to continue, as we've been doing for months now, to discuss both of those at length. But tonight, I want to actually share with you some of their accomplishments. The president and his administration haven't just been sitting around waiting on Joe Manchin to implement policies and practices that move us forward. He ran, as Ariana just laid out, on a black agenda, and the truth is that he's actually been acting on it. Here are some of the less glamorous and certainly underreported issues that this administration has tackled in their own words from a fact sheet that was published today. You can actually find this information and more about Biden's work to, quote, advance equity and opportunity for black people on whitehouse.gov. So I want to share with you some of those highlights. And I'm going to quote right now from that memo. Under President Biden, federal agencies are now working to ensure that projects proposed for federal funding are reviewed for disparate impacts before they are awarded, and that federal funding does not go to grant applicants with a record of racial discrimination. So much of what we talk about with regard to structural barriers, with regards to policies in this country, is that they are inherently biased and racist in their implementation. So much of the not sexy work that this administration is doing is trying to alleviate that and to stop the bigotry and bias from playing out and the who gets what in this country. A couple of highlights. The administration has put direct cash relief into the hands of families that cut black child poverty by 30%. We've talked about this quite a bit here on this show. The bipartisan infrastructure bill specifically has funds to reconnect black neighborhoods that have been divided by legacy highway projects and to also boost communities that have suffered from disinvestment and disrepair. They've also launched a task force to address inequity in home appraisals and trying to ensure that black homeowners actually get fair valuations for their homes. And they're working on a slate of other policies to tackle discrimination in housing. They're investing in HBCUs. And of course, have a widespread effort to increase equity in healthcare, especially in the wake of COVID. They outlined so much more in the memo that I've referenced that you can actually go find on whitehouse.gov. The reality, y'all, is that while Biden may not have yet delivered on the big ticket items that we spend so much time talking about, there are hundreds and hundreds of policies and practices that the federal government employs each and every day that ultimately impact our lives. The devil here is in all the details. And so I encourage all of us to look beyond the headlines and what's sexy to fight about on cable news to determine for yourselves how this administration is actually doing.